Welcome to European Railway, line by line, the Semmeringbahn. In this programme, we take a look at the main rail route linking Vienna with Graz and onwards to Klagenfurt, and in particular the Semmering Pass, which is situated around 75 kilometres to the southwest of the capital, Vienna. The Semmering Railway is part of the Südbahn, a main line which runs along the southern part of the country, linking Vienna with Graz, Klagenfurt and onwards towards Villach. Our filming location is to the southwest of the country's capital, Vienna. The programme begins on the northern part of the Semmering Pass at Gloggnitz, before featuring locations at Schlügelmühl, Payerbach-Reichenau, and at locations to the west of and at Eichberg. We continue towards the summit of the line at Semmering, calling in at locations along the way including Klamschottin, the colourful station at Breitenstein, Adlitzgraben, the small station at Wolfsburg-Kogel, before journey's end at Semmering. Part 1 of the programme comes from Gloggnitz, after which we head west towards the small station at Schlügelmühl. The map shows our filming locations. We begin at Gloggnitz, on what is regarded as the start of the Semmeringbahn as it heads west. The station here lies at 439 metres above sea level, where it climbs a further 457 metres to the summit at Semmering. Arriving from the west, we see Class 1144 locos, numbers 056 and 074, with a trainload of stone chippings from Saalfelde. After the freight had departed, a passenger train is next to arrive. This one is one of the regular local trains which operate to and from Payerbach-Reichenau. Trains operate north to either the capital Vienna or further on to Břeclav in the Czech Republic. This train is operated at the rear by locomotive number 1116122. As can be seen, the station has 4 tracks, with the 2 centre ones for fast passenger or freight trains not stopping here at the town. On the far left are the westbound platforms, behind which are freight tracks where westbound services stop to attach assisting locomotives for the climb up to Semmering. The local passenger services operate to a 30-minute frequency throughout the day. In the opposite direction, 1116261 arrives with a local service for Payerbach. (1144, 243 and 104 arrive from the Semmering direction, having completed banking duties. Running empty to Graz are these 3 Class 5022 diesel units, numbers 033, 035 and 046. (1144-104) has freed itself from number 243 as it heads west for its next trip up to Semmering. Meanwhile, the camera crew prepare to fight off huge, creepy crawly things walking over the lens. between 2 and 3 freight trains each way per hour, you can always find light locomotives which are involved in assisting or banking turns over the pass. This is 1144-068. Here we see 1216-240. Now given a clear road by the signalman, numbers 1144-104 and 1116-054, head west at just before 2 p.m. on the afternoon of the 19th of July 2017. The S-Bahn local services are also worked by Class 1144s. This is number 1144-109 with a train for Payerbach-Reichenau. Eleven 16-261 is on the rear of the next train to be seen, the 1355 from Payerbach to Breslau. We are around a kilometre east of Schlügelmühl now, and there is rain in the air. Slightly west of the station, this waterway can offer some reflective photographic scenes. 1116164 passes the camera with empty recycled cardboard containers. The prospects are slightly better in the opposite direction, as 1144072 and 114 head east with loaded stone chippings in skips from Zaarfelden Quarry. Just to the east of Payerbach, we see this unidentified Class 1144 on a service for Vienna. The formation passes a trainload of cars, probably bound for the port of Koper in Slovenia. The gradient of the line begins fairly gently, ranging from between 0.7 and 0.9% on the stretch of line from Gloggnitz. The real test begins to the south of Payerbach, more of which later on in the programme. In part 2 we look at traffic through the station at Payerbach-Reichenau. South of here the line crosses the first of the route's major viaducts, as it spans the valley of the river Schwarza. Underneath the viaduct we see this railcar awaiting restoration for use on the nearby 760mm gauge line that runs from the station at Payerbach-Reichenau some 5 kilometres up to Hirschfang. The main railway station building is seen here in between the showers of rain. Adjacent to the main building are a number of artefacts, including a narrow gauge railway electric locomotive and a cable car, all from the surrounding area. Pride of place goes to 95112, seen here plinthed next to the platforms. The locomotive is one of 24 members of the class built between 1922 and 1928 for operations on the country's steepest routes, including here on the Semmering. The date is the 20th of July 2017, and 1116167 rounds the curve on the downhill section through the station, with this eastbound freight bound for Vienna's Klettering Yard. Many of the railway buildings dotted along the line were constructed from waste material dug out from the various cuttings and tunnels higher up on the route. The principal passenger trains along the line are these railjet services, including some which operate from Graz to and from Prague. Here the 0648 from Prague coasts through the station, powered by 1216-231. In the background, a narrow gauge passenger coach sits adjacent to the platforms of the 760mm gauge line from Hirschfang, known as the LPHG. Coming into view is 11-16-084. We actually thought that we would be better suited to take this shot and put it into one of our outtakes, but then again, the continuing search for the creatures that seem to have a soft spot for our camera lens is all part of a day's work for our cameraman. And it was only another few minutes before our next freight entered the station, this time headed by 1142-611 and 1116-063. And we think now that we have managed to track down our rogue insect, so hopefully a clear lens from now on. A westbound trainload of biomass, in the form of wood chippings, is powered by 1142-554 and 1116-176, with 1142-658 providing rear-end assistance. The day before, the weather wasn't quite as nice, with mountain rain dominating for most of the afternoon. This is the east end of the station, as we see 1116186 departing on the rear of this train bound for Vienna. Class 1116s operate most of the domestic railjet services, such as RJ656, the 1326 from Graz to Vienna Airport. Power is provided by 1116155. With the rain getting heavier, we decided to retreat to the old goods shed, which provided some useful cover for us to view the trains. After a 20-minute layover, 1144-082 heads this service for Vienna. The 1144s tend to work most of the Vienna trains, whilst the 1116s tend to operate the trains out to Breslau. This is 1216-230. The 1555 departure for Retz Bahnhof is powered at the rear by 1144-090. After that, we decided it might be wise to stay put. Which was well worth it, as our next train featured a pair of Class 1142s, numbers 554 and 658, with 1144-243 doing the honours on the rear of this coal train from Poland. The two Class 1142s that were glimpsed arriving light engines in the previous shot had to wait for this train headed by 1144-116 to arrive from the Gloggnitz direction before they could proceed. (1144-037) was next on the scene just a few minutes later. Railjet services operate hourly in each direction, with a 2-hourly service to and from Prague on top. meaning that every 2 hours there is a half-hourly frequency. This is 1116-237, powering the 1314 from Villach to Vienna. Another interesting passenger train are the handful of Eurocity services connecting Vienna with Slovenia and Croatia. Here 1144-059 heads train EC159 from Vienna to Zagreb. With the rain beginning to ease off, it was about time to move on, but not before we filmed 1144-092, leaving with the 1655 service to Vienna. The loco carries the cream and red livery, which is reversed on the front of the loco. As soon as we had put the camera away, the signals turned green, so it was back on the tripod to catch 1116-126 and 1144-280 at the front of this westbound freight. On the rear was 1144-243. Last but by no means least is 1144-123, arriving with a local service from Vienna. In part 3 of the programme, we leave the valley floor of the river Schwarza and begin the climb up to Semmering. We call in at the small station at Kub, look down on the valley at Steinbauer, visit the station at Eichberg, and finally to climb Schottwien. We begin though at Kub, just a couple of kilometres by rail from Payerbach. The gradient of the line here now begins to steepen, with 1.5% being the norm. Approaching the station is a local service from Payerbach to Semmering, formed by unit number 4020-249. These trains also work to and from Merzzuschlag. The timetable for these trains is varied and is worth checking if you intend to visit the area. The Semmering Railway was built between 1848 and 1854, over the mountain range that is part of the eastern edge of the Alps. The mountains aren't that high, but posed a serious challenge to the engineers of the day. The grey stone buildings, like the one in the distance, are located roughly every 700 metres along the route. Built of coarse rubble with brick trimmings, they were once used as relay stations and watering points in the days of steam traction. Eleven 42-612 heads empty hoppers for Hegi Shalom. This short rake of tanks is headed by 182561, hauling 193215 and 1216921. The Class 193 Vectrons look set to become an increasing locomotive type seen on this route, with OBB recently signing a framework contract for up to 200 of the class. This will certainly have an impact on some of the older types of traction currently seen on the route. We now move east and to Steinbauer as we cover the route towards Eichberg. The map shows our camera positions. In this view, the town of Payerbach can be seen at the bottom of the valley, with the rail line just the other side of the trees in the centre of the picture. The town of Schlügelmühl can be seen in the right distance. You can also make out an eastbound railjet service heading down the valley, the 1725 from Graz to Vienna. Whilst in the foreground you will shortly see 1116198, powering RJ755 from Vienna Airport to Graz. The distance by train between the two locations is around 10 kilometres, with a height difference close to 125 metres. Another view of a train in the valley, this time a class 1144 on a service from Payerbach. The construction of the line employed between 12,000 and 20,000 men, and was one of the most difficult engineering projects of the time, when new railway construction throughout Europe and the world was at its height. Engineered and designed by Karl Ritter von Heere, the 41-kilometre line was named a World Heritage Site in 1998 and is regarded as the world's first true mountain railway. The line features 14 tunnels, 16 viaducts, over 100 curved stone bridges and 11 small iron bridges. From the outset, the line was designed to blend in with the local scenery, and significant efforts were put in place to achieve this, such as tight corners and tunnels wherever possible. Here, another 1144 heads a service for Payerbach. The hills in the distance rise to between 900 and 1300 metres above sea level. Unit number 402249 has not long left Eichberg station and descends the grade on the approach to Abfaltersbach Graben Viaduct, which measures 93 metres in length. One reason for visiting the line is the fact that all we have seen so far will change in terms of traffic levels. The reason being is that a new base tunnel is being built between Gloggnitz and Merzzuschlag, with completion scheduled for 2026. You may have seen the route of this new line indicated on some of the maps that we have used. This is 1144-247 heading the 1725 from Vienna to Merzzuschlag. Creeping around the corner in the opposite direction is the 1514 railjet service from Villach to Vienna, powered at the rear by 1116-229. We move west now as the line hugs the northern slopes of the Auerbach Valley. We have two locations, one at Klamm-Schott-Wien and the other just outside Klamm Tunnel. This is Klamm-Schott-Wien, where the severe curves on the route are all too evident. 1116-237 heads west. (1144-095 and 1142-593 head down the hill towards Eichberg. (4020-249) arrives at the station with a local service from Payerbach to Merzzuschlag. The opening of the railway led to the development of this mountainous region as a popular ski resort, and was the catalyst in the development of the town of Semmering. Many large hotels were built in the early 1900s, and it was a popular vacation destination for the residents of Vienna. Many of the hotels were later converted into convalescent homes, and attracted high-class visitors from all over the Austrian Empire. Today the whole area is once again on the wish list for many a traveller, and is popular with walkers and hikers, and of course skiers during the winter months. Another class of locomotive that is seen on the route is the tracks design. Here 386016 and 015 head empty container flats from the Czech Republic bound for the port of Koper in Slovenia. At Clam Tunnel, the gradient is around 1.9%. Here 1116176 heads empty powder hoppers. In the opposite direction, with another one of the relay stations on the left, now a private dwelling, a convoy of locos heads east. In part 4 of the programme, we look at the section of line between Breitenstein to the summit at Semmering. We start off at Breitenstein, before moving on to Wolfsburgkogel, then retracing our steps back to view the viaducts around Adlitzgraben and Kaltarina, before concluding our programme at Semmering. Standing on the station platforms at Breitenstein, particularly at night in the still air, you can hear the trains making their way down the opposite side of the valley, it being several minutes before they finally appear. 1144065 heads back east after being on banking duties. Ten 16.005 comes into view heading the overnight train EN 1237, the 2023 from Vienna to Livorno in Italy. Also coming off banking duties is 1142.575. The following morning, our trusted handycam picks out the same locomotive piloting 1116-099 on a westbound break of car transporters. On the station platforms, we see the 0825 from Graz to Prague, powered on the rear by 1216-228. The local was followed by this freight, powered by 1144-009. The Class 1142 electrics were introduced into traffic in a fairly sizable build of 257 examples between 1963 and 1977. Most were retrofitted Class 1042s, having push-pull equipment fitted in the mid-1990s. Here 1142-620 pilots 1144-225. you can get some fairly colourful train sets. Here 1116-225 passes with the 0925 service from Graz to Vienna. The rake promotes the Austrian Football Association and was unveiled in Vienna on the 8th of June 2015. Heading up the valley, we cover two further locations, one at the station at Wolfsburg-Kogel and the other looking at the impressive Atlitzgraben viaduct. Wolfsburg-Kogel is just a kilometre away from the summit of the line at Semmering. Here the gradient is around 1.4%, with some very tight curves. Dropping down the grade are 1142593 and 1144226. The use of pilot locomotives is generally between Meurtzuschlag and Gloggnitz, whereas banking locomotives generally work between Gloggnitz and Semmering and between Meurtzuschlag and Semmering. The station here was undergoing modernisation during our filming, with new platforms being built. Taking it very steady is train RJ550, the 0527 from Graz to Vienna, with 1116156 providing the power. Wolfsburg Tunnel is 440 metres long, and out pops 1142-594 and 1116104. This was the fourth freight in 30 minutes, as 11:44-268 and 11:16-162 head downhill with a container train from the port of Koper. The time was 27 minutes past 7 in the morning. Something else was stirring, and it was our old friend 420-249. Moving west for just over a kilometre, the line crosses the impressive Atlitzgraben viaduct. At 151 metres long, it is the second longest on the route. An unidentified Class 1144 is in charge of train EN234 from Rome and Milano to Vienna. Around 65 million bricks and 80,000 flagstones were used in the construction of the railway, and the work was done to an extremely high standard, with the line as good now as it was when it opened more than 170 years ago. Incidentally, the new base tunnel being constructed will cut journey times along the route by around 35 minutes. Our next viaduct is the one at Kalter Rinne, just to the west of Breitenstein station. The Kleiner Krautzel is much smaller. The line crosses the valley of the river Auerbach, with its steep sides and cliffs. This is achieved by the splendid Kalter Rinne viaduct. This double-arched structure is the largest on the line and spans over 184 metres. Looking up from the bottom, you get a good idea of the sheer size of the construction. This map shows a walkway between the two viaducts. We set ourselves up and awaited the passing of our first train. And it wasn't long before 11:16-254 made an appearance on this railjet service bound for Vienna. Resident unit number 402049 heads west with a local service from Payerbach to Semmering. (12-16-955) crosses with empty eastbound car transporters from the port of Koper. You have to be fairly high up to see the trains clearly, especially those travelling east. There is a museum on the far left of the bridge which offers some late afternoon views looking down onto the tracks. Finally, we see an unidentified Class 1144 heading train EC151, the 0758 from Vienna to Ljubljana. The next viaduct is this one, at Kleiner Krautsel. Again, with a good walk you can get up level with the structure. From below, it is really only westbound trains that can be seen, such as this 1116 heading west. We now journey up to Semmering station, at the summit of the line adjacent to the twin-bore Semmering tunnel. We begin with this view of a westbound coal train led by 1142-673 and 1144-246, whilst on the rear we have 1142-593 and 1144-095. The train will enter one of the 1.3 kilometre long single-bore tunnels just to the west of the station platforms. One of the tunnels is new, having been built between 1949 and 1952 to provide extra capacity. (1116-250) carries Austrian police livery and powers at the rear of train RJ632 from Linz to Vienna. With both tunnels clear, it was 11:44.263 which departed first, followed closely by 10:16.044 and 11:44.039. The route sees a good deal of freight traffic at night, and the early evenings and mornings can be a good time to sit next to the line. Along the station platforms is a memorial to the route's designer and lead engineer, Carl Ritter van Heger. Next door is Plinth railcar number 5144001, dating from 1951. 5 of these units worked along this route before being withdrawn in 1993. 3 remain, including this one and unit numbers 3 and 4. Our filming was somewhat thwarted by an incredibly strong airflow down from the hills above the station, which made holding the camera steady, even on a tripod, almost impossible. Here 11:44.084 leads 11:16.275 on an eastbound container train. (4020-249) has a good number of passengers to disembark, as it prepares to leave with a Payerbach to Mürzzuschlag local service. A pair of Class 1116s emerge from the tunnel and out into the station, with an eastbound set of tank wagons. Providing banking assistance is 11:42.620. This is 11:16.168, stopping with one of the railjet services that call at the station. This one is the 1158 from Vienna to Graz. (1116-264) restarts its train of empty containers at exactly 1:15 on the 20th of July 2017. With another 9 years to go, but with the prospect of a fleet of new Vectron locomotives that may well replace some of the older types currently to be found on the line, the Semmering pass route is well worth a visit, and we hope that this DVD gives you a flavour of what can be expected. With its duty now complete, number 620 returns light engine bound for Merzerschlag. Our final train in this programme sees 1144-094 leading an unidentified class 1116 on this westbound set of pressurised tanks. With at least 2 passenger trains and around 4 freight trains per hour, there is always something going on this superb Austrian mainline railway. We would like to thank you for watching this European Railway line-by-line programme.